So today we have got the Honeymoon Suite with us. Would you two like to introduce yourself? Cool.
Lou?
Hi, I'm Lou. I sing and play synthesizer and guitar in the band.
Hello, I'm Tom. I am the drummer in the band, the Honeymoon Suite.
And I guess on that note, how did the band actually get together? Do you have like a spicy origin story?
I wish. Lou, do you want to tell that one?
You can have that one, Tom.
Okay. So it basically started with myself and the lead singer, Will. We went to college together, and we said for time that we wanted to make a band, but we're never really that good at our instruments. So we just started one and then carried on for a few months. And then we put out an advert to get a guitarist in, and Lou answered the advert of the man with a guitar. So we then met up, jammed, and it was all very fluent, felt good. We got along, and yeah, just went from there, to be honest. And I guess we haven't really since then. Yeah.
What about George?
Oh, sugar, George. Yeah. George. So George was a friend of our friend. No, George is the brother of our friend Holly. And personally, I met George at 2Q Festival, and he told me that he plays bass, but he's only just started. And yeah, he came in, and that was it. So no spicy origin story. It's literally a case of like we've literally just sort of picked people out from random places in Derby and become a collective. And that's it.
And I guess here you are. Look, you've got like I see you've got a lot of tattoos. Do any of them have like a special meaning? Is there, or is it just you thought they look cool?
Yeah, just thought they looked cool, mate. I mean, I've got a diagram of a wormhole here. I've got Caligula on my arm here. I've got Rachel from Blade Runner here. Love Blade Runner. Leonard Cohen song. David Lynch film. Got a big tattoo of a banana on my belly from the Velvet Underground album. But no special meaning. I just liked him, and I thought it looked good.
That is as good a reason as any. Over to you, I guess, Tom. Do you have like a favorite moment as you've all been? I mean, this can go to either of you, but do you have like a favorite moment as a band as you've been doing this?
Interesting. I think for me personally, there's a couple that stand out. Actually, maybe like three. So one of them was when we got to support Jaws. We'd only been sort of gigging from September 2017, and we got given the Jaws slot, which was January 2018. So that was only like what 4 to 5 months straight after them. So it was very short from when we kind of like began gigging to get in that slot, and that was such a huge slot for us that I remember we played that show. We were all quite nervous for it. We played that show, and it was a good show. And then afterwards, so like we just had a hug, didn't we? And I remember we all got off the stage. We all had like a little group hug because it was just a big moment for us as a band for a band that we really respect to go to play with them that soon. I guess Why Not Festival as well. It's a festival that we've been to for so many years, maybe like 4 or 5 years. So to be able to play it and play on a stage that was enormous was a big point. And I guess also our first headline at the venue. Yeah, that was a really good one. What about you, Lou?
I'd say all of them. I'd like to add our first headline in Nottingham at Rough Trade. That was a really good night, wasn't it? Because it was a free gig, and we didn't put loads of promo behind it. And I remember we went and sound checked. And then we went to the Weatherspoons just up near Bodega, and we were sat in there having a beer and some food. Like, are there going to be people there? Are they not? A little bit nervous. And we got back, and it was packed, wasn't it?
We were so surprised because we thought there was going to be, like we were saying, like maybe like 20-30 people will be happy, just because it's not Notts isn't really our hometown as such, but it has become our hometown for gigging. But yeah, we thought maybe like 20-30 people. And we got there, and I think the room was packed, wasn't it? There must have been at least 100 people there. And yeah, it was just yeah, that was a really good night.
Then obviously, back in 2019, you had your single California Suite. What was the build up to that like? Is there one? Yeah, one.
It's hard to remember what was going on at the time. I mean, obviously we had that song, we wrote the song, it felt good, it felt right. I think it's hard. It can be hard to kind of know when build up starts and when it ends when you're playing gigs as much as we were at that time, because it's like you're trying to hash out songs and write songs and record songs at the same time that you're playing. Probably 2019, we were probably playing at least 4 gigs a month, weren't we?
Yeah, definitely. That was like a
days, really. So to be honest, mate, I don't know. All I remember is that we had this signal, and it felt good, and we wanted to put it out. Yeah, and it worked well for us. What about you, Tom?
I agree. The whole time is a blur. I think 2019 for us as a band, we dropped California Suite, and we just had this constant sort of flow of gigs which we were able to play. And as Lou said, it was like 4 a month, and it would be in different cities as well. And it's just a great time. I can't think of anything specific, to be honest. No.
So you had a 2019 full of gigs, and then obviously getting into 2020, everything was sort of shut down. So how did that actually impact you guys as a band and just as people?
Interesting. I think as a band, it took a while. I remember we didn't practice for ages, obviously. So when all the lockdown first came about, we didn't see each other for time. And when we first got back into the practice room, we were so loose, like we'd lost. We couldn't remember how to play the songs. We were like, everything was scrappy. So I think as a band, it's difficult because when you're playing so consistently as we were in 2019, we got to a point where our set was tight. We knew what we were doing. We had that sort of like consistency. And then coming into 2020, it just all went downhill. We lost all the shows, the practice, and yeah, it's definitely had an impact on us as a band. But coming out of it towards the end of 2020, a residential room, and once we got to the room, it's kind of like we're going back up to that point where we were. We're practicing a lot now, and it's all our gear's just set up, so we're writing a lot of new music. And obviously, we haven't released a single since 2019, so we're at a point now where we're jamming all this like new music, which is representation of where we are now. And yeah, I guess we lost all the shows, but good because we've written this new music and we've decided where we want to go in terms of like musical direction.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with what Tom said. I think, yeah, it's been tough, but on the other hand, the music we're writing now, which hopefully we'll get to record and release soon. We were meant to be in the studio last month, but obviously that's been cancelled. I don't think that would have happened if it weren't for the lockdown, because it gave us a lot of time to listen to a lot of different music, a lot of time playing in a bedroom at home, and just demoing stuff at home, and it gave us a chance to breathe. Really, I think it comes back to what that thing I was saying earlier about playing the gigs constantly. When it's the cycle of gigging, practicing, it can be harder to think outside of the box, I guess, with your writing. I guess that's what we've been able to do, isn't it, Tom, with this break?
Yeah, for sure.
On a personal level, it's been, I think, well, like me, Tom, and Will all work in like public services. We're all out on the front line, so it's been intense, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But good on you guys for that. I mean, have any of you actually come down with unspecified illness name for legal purposes?
No, I haven't. No, I've not had a test. I've not had to isolate. I'm doing ridiculously well, and I've had me jab. So
nice.
I'm doing all right. Tom, I don't know about you. I think you've been all right, haven't you?
I think I've been really, really lucky because I was when it first popped off. I was working on ICU, and I was working with everybody that had it, and I was just surrounded by it. But because we were given so much protection with like masks and helmets and whatever, never got it. And then since then, I've had tests quite frequently. I have them every week now as part of my job, and it's just never changed. I've never had it. So I feel, I don't want to say I feel invincible, but you know, things are going well.
I don't say, surely there's got to come a point where you've just got to say, yeah, I am actually immune to this, apparently.
Yeah. I don't want to get into the conspiracies, but you know, it's not affecting me.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you spoke a little bit about how you've been writing some new music and stuff. Are you hoping to get out 2021? And just in general, what plans do you have for this next year?
We've definitely got one single we wanna release that's very different to what we were doing before. I mean, before we were doing more kind of, I don't know, kind of indie pop, kind of shoegaze music. This is more, well, this particular single is more kind of funk pop, isn't it, Tom? It's kind of synth pop, very, very synth heavy. I don't play any guitar on this single. And I guess we want to write more music like that, don't we, Tom? We want to do an EP at some point. We know that much. Other than that, I don't know. Yeah,
and I think that's an interesting point as well, that to this point we have just released singles, even though for the entire time we've always had maybe a 10-strong set list which we play around with, but we've never recorded an EP. And looking at it now, maybe that's a good thing, because we're at a point now where we're writing music. I suppose you could say this every year, but we're at a point now where we're writing music where it is kind of like music where we want to go, and recording an EP, hopefully, depending on the situation this year, would be good to finally get one out that's a representation of like where we are now and where we're probably going. Whereas before we had all this sort of your early stages in your immaturity music where you're still developing your own sound. Whereas I'd like to say now we sort of have our sound solidified, but we're adding different elements in and taking things away. And you'd still be able to recognize it's us, but with synths.
Yeah, fair. Obviously, if that's your plans for next year, do either of you have like any long-term, no matter how ridiculous, do you have it? What is like the one thing you would want to do with this band necessarily? Not just,
probably release something on vinyl. I'd love to do that. I'd love to release something on vinyl. We'd love to headline Bodega. I think that's a good thing about our band. We don't expect too much from it, do we? We just have fun.
Yeah,
we just have a laugh. Whatever comes. But yeah, there's a couple of little things I'd like to achieve. What about you, Tom?
To be honest, we've only played a few minor festivals. We played obviously Why Not and a few ones in different cities. But I love festivals so much, so I just want to play as many festivals as possible, because I just love the fact that you go to a festival, you might not know 90% of the bands, and you turn up and you can just go watch loads of smaller bands and find new music. So for me, I guess going forward with this band, yeah, same as Lou, there's no big plan. There's no, I want to, take over the world and take a stadium. I just want to have fun and play festivals and just have a laugh. And I guess that's pretty much always been our ethos, and it's definitely continuing.
Having a laugh is always one of the best things you can do. And on that note, I guess, thank you so much for coming on, both of you. It was great to have you on.
Likewise, thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.